All right, we have a very, very special guest who's joining us right here on ET Now. India's former Minister for Finance and Home, FM P Chidambaram, joins us. Somebody who had been very, very deeply connected with J&K, had set up an interlocutors. Thank you very much, Mr. Chidambaram, for being with us. It's a 3.5-year alliance that has ended. Are you surprised with the end of this alliance? And what particularly concerns you at this moment? Because you've tweeted stating the future depends on who the next governor will be. So two questions there. Are you surprised with the end of this alliance? And because unlike a lot of other people who believe that Kashmir or J&K is together breathing a sigh of relief, given that there will be a fresh mandate now?
According to me, and I've written about it repeatedly, this alliance should have ended long, long ago. It was an opportunistic alliance, an unnatural alliance, and made the situation worse. But I'm concerned about governor's rule because I'm concerned who the next governor will be. Governor Vohra's term will come to an end on June 28, and all indications are that he does not want to continue or he will not be continued. So who is the next governor? If the next governor adopts simply the BJP's muscular militaristic approach, it will be a disaster. It will be worse. It will be from the frying pan to the fire. So while I welcome the collapse of the present government, I'm very concerned about what will happen on June 28th.
No, I think there are a lot of people out there who share your concern on what happens after, the president's rule is imposed. But my larger question to you is, you say this is an opportunistic alliance. I'm going to ask you a more big picture question as far as J&K is concerned. And you were very, you were associated with this issue in your capacity as Home Minister. You had set up interlocutors for the Valley. The dialogue did not yield results. And it looks like the muscular policy also hasn't. So where does the solution for Kashmir and J&K at large then lie?
I don't agree that the dialogue did not or will not yield result. The 2.5 years when I worked with Chief Minister Omar Abdullah were the best years in terms of very sharp decline in violence, re-engaging with the people, thanks to the interlocutors, and building the credibility of the state government. But I concede that we failed to follow it up. I returned to the finance ministry. We failed to follow it up, and the elections came. Maybe we didn't have enough time. I think, and I've written about it, the end of the unnatural coalition is the first step. We should then have a governor who is forward-looking, progressive, and who will lend a ear to all sections of the people. The central government must make it clear that it will talk to everyone. The sequencing of the talks can be decided as we go along, but we must talk to everyone. And then we must appoint interlocutors to re-engage with the people. Today, if the government tries to talk to anyone, it utterly lacks credibility. Interlocutors must be appointed to re-engage with the people and build credibility, and then the state government or governor's rule or governor or the central government must take over. It's a long haul now. We have lost a lot of time.
No, I understand it's a long haul. I understand it's a long haul.
Yeah.
Mr. Chidambaram, I have to follow it. I have to follow it up. At least you're being candid to say that you could not follow it up because you came back to the finance ministry. At least you're being candid enough to say that. But the reality is, Mehbooba Mufti in her press conference today said that she chose to go with the BJP despite having offers of support from both the NC and the Congress, because she thought Mr. Modi had a grand mandate all across India and he will be able to solve the problem, resolve the problem in Kashmir. If somebody with that kind of a political mandate has not been able to do so, what gives us the hope that any other government will be able to?
Well, I'm sorry for Mehbooba Mufti. She was wrong in her assessment. She was wrong in her assessment of the BJP and the Prime Minister. And she's learnt that lesson after paying a huge price in terms of credibility. Today, I agree, you can't form another coalition government. The governor's rule appears inevitable. But who is the governor? Who will be the governor? This is the million-dollar question that will be answered in the next week or so.
But Mr. Chidambaram, you're advocating a dialogue here, and we're all for a dialogue here. At least at ET now, we believe dialogue should be the way forward. But who do you talk to? Do you talk to people who are pelting stones at school children and tourists? Do you talk to protesters who are at best leaderless, at worst acting at the behest of Pakistan or acting as their proxies? Because look at the level of alienation in the valley, and this hasn't perpetrated in the last 3.5 years. This is an ongoing issue. I mean, successive governments have failed to resolve the problem in Kashmir.
Let me give you a frank answer, even if it appears unpalatable.
Sure.
The interlocutors must talk to everyone, every section. How they will talk? Will they talk openly? Will they talk quietly? Will they talk on track 2? Will they engage other people to talk to them? Those must be left to the interlocutors. The government must choose the right interlocutors and give them a free hand to re-engage every section of the people. It's only when people's feet are on the ground, they will find a way to go about, they'll find a way through this maze. You sitting in a studio, my sitting in my living room, can't lay out a path for the talks. Let's trust the interlocutors to re-engage the people, and I'm sure as they go along, they'll find ways to re-engage every section of the people. What sequence they will do, we must leave it to them. As I said, it's not going to be easy. In fact, it will be more difficult today than what it was, say, 6.5 years ago when we first appointed the interlocutors.
But Mr. Chidambaram, Yashwant Sinha was on our show earlier, and I asked him a very frank, straight question. I'm going to pose the same question to you. Should we be talking to Pakistan? Should the interlocutors be engaging with Pakistan?
They may not have the mandate to engage with another country. At the moment, I'm thinking of interlocutors to engage with the people of Jammu and Kashmir, especially the Kashmir Valley. Engaging with another country is a sovereign function, which I don't think interlocutors will be given that mandate ever. That must be done by the government through track 1 and track 2 and other ways. We have in the past engaged with the establishment or the establishments in Pakistan in different ways. But that's a long way off. Let's first engage with the people of Jammu and Kashmir, or re-engage with the people of Jammu and Kashmir, especially those in the Kashmir Valley. And on that, I think Mr. Yashwant Sinha and I are on the same page.
I wonder if that's going to accrue results without engaging Pakistan, because many people believe stakeholders there would want Pak to be engaged. But I have a larger question to you, and this really is what the BJP's position on this matter is today. Because they believe that the BJP places national interest above political interest. At least that's what they want their core constituency to believe. How are you going to dispute that? Because you speak to anybody today on social media and otherwise, and they believe that the BJP has sacrificed the government because they place national interest above political differences, political interests.
These are, you have to define the phrases. What is national interest? In my way of thinking, it's in the national interest to win the confidence of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, especially the Kashmir Valley. It's in the national interest to honor the compact made with the people of Kashmir when Kashmir acceded to India. It's in the national interest to see that Jawans are not killed, civilians are not killed. It is in the national interest to ensure that the borders are practically sealed, there is no infiltration. I will define national interest in the way I think is right. And that national interest will certainly be advanced by what I'm advocating. But if you define national interest in the way the BJP defines, namely suppressing any voice of dissent, suppressing any expression of dissent or act of dissent, and using muscular military power or paramilitary power throwing people into jail. I mean, that is their definition of national interest, which I don't agree. It's in the national interest to win the confidence, win the hearts and minds of the people of Kashmir, so that Kashmir will remain an integral part of India, even while we honor the underlying promise in Article 370. That, I think, is national interest.
Two quick last questions before I go, and one of them has to be on, will you concede, will you be frank and will you be honest here to concede that the failure to find a solution in the Jammu and Kashmir and the valley at large rests on all sides of the political spectrum, and the Congress this evening cannot absolve itself of the troubles either? You've been in power for long enough to find a solution by now.
Who can quarrel with such a general statement? Everybody who has been in authority or office at any time and dealt with Kashmir must share the responsibility. The question is intentions and results. I can claim that under the UPA government, we made a bold move in reducing the presence of the paramilitary. We thinned the paramilitary by almost 10,000 Jawans. We handed over primary responsibility for law and order to the J&K police. We removed the roadblocks in Srinagar. And the DGP and I traveled in an unmarked jeep in Srinagar through crowded streets and alleys after the roadblocks had been removed, and nothing happened. And we appointed interlocutors to re-engage the people. Just look at the numbers in those 2 years. The violence dropped dramatically. And I must acknowledge the role played by Umar Abdullah. Yes, we didn't carry it to its logical end. But question is, what were our intentions? What did we try? Did we succeed even partially? But who says I'm willing to take my share of the responsibility, because I was Home Minister for a while. But those general statements don't take us very far. The question is, in today's situation, what do we do? And I think the real test will be who will be the next governor on 28th of June.
I'm glad you're being candid to say you should take your share of the responsibility. I think all of us will wait and watch who the next governor and what the next course of action will be. A quick last question, because the Congress, your party president, you yourself have called this an unholy, opportunistic, untenable alliance. There is a larger lesson out of here that unnatural allies don't see the logical end. Unnatural alliances don't last. Isn't there a lesson for the entire opposition at best? Because there are unnatural alliances in the making as far as 2019 is concerned. Seeming political foes are all coming together in that anti-Modi, anti-BJP front.
No. Please don't turn away from the gravity of the situation. We're talking about Jammu and Kashmir. Let's not dilute the gravity of the issue by referring to other possible scenarios elsewhere. We will cross that bridge when we come to it. There won't be any unnatural alliances elsewhere. There will be natural alliances.
All right. On that note, insisting on the need for interlocutors and a dialogue with the Kashmir Valley and every stakeholder there, that's former Finance and Home Minister FM P Chidambaram joining us right here on ET Now with his take on the issues and the political turmoil in the Kashmir Valley. It's back to Tanya Bharadwaj in the studios to take it forward.